This research, published in American Heart Association Journal Circulation, really challenges what I used to believe about exercise, because I always thought that doing more exercise automatically meant healthier blood vessels and a stronger heart. But the findings here suggest something very different, especially when exercise becomes extremely long in duration and is combined with repeated high-intensity training over many years. The study followed 222 men with a median age of 54 years, ranging from 49 to 59, and divided them into 3 groups: lifelong athletes, late onset athletes, and physically active controls. And instead of relying only on memory, the researchers used wearable devices to track actual training load over 12 continuous months, while also comparing this with self-reported exercise habits to get a more complete picture. The main question was simple but very important: whether very high levels of endurance exercise could be linked to more coronary artery disease even in people who appear healthy and have low traditional risk. And the answer was yes for hidden or subclinical disease, meaning plaque and calcium could still build up silently without obvious symptoms. To investigate this, the researchers used coronary computed tomography angiography, which is a detailed scan that shows plaque and calcium inside the heart arteries, allowing them to compare whether people with higher training loads had more buildup. And the results clearly showed that as training load increased, the signs of artery changes also increased. When they measured training using something called Edwards Training Impulse, which combines duration and heart rate intensity, the differences were very strong and statistically significant, showing higher chances of plaque, higher coronary calcium scores above 0, and even higher levels above 100, all of which point toward more underlying artery disease in the highest training groups. But this does not mean every athlete is in danger, because what it really suggests is that very high training volumes sustained over many years may deserve more attention, especially in older endurance athletes, since the highest training group had much higher odds of plaque and calcium compared to the lowest group, with some risks increasing more than 5 times. Another important detail is that when researchers looked at training duration alone, meaning the total number of hours exercised, they found similar associations with plaque and calcium. But when they looked only at time spent in high-intensity zones, the link was not as clear, suggesting that duration may play a bigger role than intensity alone. In simple terms, this means that doing very hard exercise for a short period may not carry the same effect as doing many hours of training over many years, because the total accumulated load on the body appears to matter more than just how intense each session is. The study also showed that wearable data was much more reliable than self-reported exercise, because people often estimate their activity roughly, while devices provide objective measurements. And interestingly, self-reported exercise only showed a weak link with coronary calcium and no clear link with overall artery disease. Even though the men in this study were relatively healthy and active, the scans still revealed hidden plaque and calcium, which is a strong reminder that feeling fit does not always mean arteries are completely clear, and that silent changes can exist without warning signs. The condition studied here is called coronary atherosclerosis, which simply means a gradual buildup of fat and other material inside the arteries that supply the heart. And while this study showed a strong link with high training load, it is important to understand that it was observational, meaning it shows association but cannot prove direct cause. This distinction matters because other factors could also contribute to plaque buildup, even though the researchers adjusted for known risks. So the findings should be seen as an important signal rather than a final conclusion about cause and effect. Still, the message is very practical, because if someone trains for many hours every week over many years, especially with frequent high-intensity sessions, it may be wise to consider heart screening and regular checkups, particularly for older athletes. At the same time, This research does not say that exercise is harmful, because regular physical activity is still strongly linked to better overall health. But it suggests that extremely high volumes over long periods may not always add extra benefit and could come with some hidden risks. A simple way to understand this is to think of exercise like medicine, where the right dose helps the body, but too much over a long time may have downsides, which does not mean stopping exercise, but rather keeping it balanced, smart, and suited to the individual. For people who exercise regularly, the takeaway is clear. Do not assume that being very fit guarantees clean arteries. Consider heart screening if your training volume is very high. And remember that hidden disease can exist even when you feel perfectly fine. It is also important to note that this study included only men, so the results may not apply exactly the same way to women, but it still adds valuable insight into how long-term endurance training affects heart health. The strongest links were seen with objective training duration and Edwards training impulse, which simply combines how long and how hard someone exercises, and the higher this total load, the more likely scans showed plaque or calcium, especially in the highest training group. This explains why someone can appear very healthy on the outside with good fitness, normal weight, and stable blood pressure, yet still have artery plaque visible on a scan, which is why prevention should include not just exercise, but also monitoring. The researchers even used advanced analysis methods to detect patterns that are not simple straight lines, and these continuous analyses confirmed the same trend, showing that as training load increased, the likelihood of plaque and higher calcium scores also increased across the data. The final conclusion was very clear. High training duration combined with long-term high-intensity load was independently associated with more subclinical coronary artery disease in middle-aged and older men, while intensity alone without long duration did not show the same clear link. This balance is important because it suggests the issue is not intense exercise by itself, but the combination of very long hours and repeated stress on the body over many years, which may gradually affect the arteries. For athletes, coaches, and doctors, this research encourages a more thoughtful approach to training, emphasizing personalization and the importance of monitoring heart health when training loads become very high over time. For the general public, the message is not fear, but awareness. Because staying active is still one of the best things for health, but extremely high endurance training over many years may require extra attention and medical guidance. It is also important to remember that not everyone who exercises a lot will develop heart disease, but this research shows that hidden artery changes are possible and should not be ignored, especially when there are no symptoms. These findings may feel surprising, especially for endurance athletes, but they highlight how complex the human body is and how more is not always better when it comes to long-term stress and adaptation. The key lesson here is balance, because moderate exercise remains one of the most powerful habits for good health, while very high training loads over many years may benefit from careful planning, recovery, and regular health checks. So the simple takeaway is this: exercise is good for you, but endlessly increasing volume is not always better, and combining smart training, proper recovery, and periodic medical checks can help protect your heart over the long term. And while you are here watching, if you find this information useful, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because your support helps in creating more content like this.